What's up with all the freaking movements, man?
Yes.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 8 News Now or Nexstar Media Group.
Tonight on Politics Now, Black Lives Matter protests. People fill the streets after a decision to not directly charge officers in the death of Breonna Taylor.
Anticipate that everything will go smooth.
We dig into voter registration efforts, how Nevada is protecting the election, and those confusing mailers that have been sent to voters.
We have to reach people where they are. We have to advertise in a language that someone's most comfortable receiving information in.
We speak with presidential campaign surrogates Andrew Yang and Eric Trump about reaching out to communities of color for the election.
From 8 News Now, this is Politics Now.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Politics Now. I'm John Langler. Another controversial decision, another series of Black Lives Matter protests around the country. This week it was a decision by a Kentucky grand jury not to charge Louisville police officers in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. There were protests Wednesday night in downtown Las Vegas and Thursday on the Las Vegas Strip. Minister Stretch Sanders led Thursday night's demonstrations. He says he plans to keep the momentum going of those protests.
We may have to do a protest every day in different ways, whether it be disrupting traffic, whether it be going into restaurants, going into hotels. We have to up the ante because, again, you see where America can still kill black folks and get away with it.
Metro Police arrested 6 protesters Wednesday night for blocking traffic downtown, but Thursday's protest was peaceful. There were 2 big court rulings here in Nevada this week. One is crucial to the state budget. The other deals with the November election and those mail-in ballots. Let's start with the ruling on the budget. The Nevada Supreme Court ruled 2 funding measures passed by the 2019 legislature did not have the constitutionally required approval of 2/3 of lawmakers. One measure extended a business tax rate. The other was a fee paid by drivers. Together, they were projected to generate about $110 million that Democrats earmarked for schools. The lawsuit was filed by state Senate Republicans. The provision that requires that 2/3 approval in each house was passed by voters in a constitutional amendment back in 1994 and 96. Democrats plan to appeal this ruling. Meanwhile, a federal court has thrown out a lawsuit seeking to stop Nevada's mail-in November election. The Trump campaign, the Republican National Committee, and the Nevada Republican Party sued after the legislature expanded mail-in voting during this special session. The judge said in this case that it was a policy disagreement and did not require the court to intervene. The election is about 5 weeks away now. National Voter Registration Day was during this week. You can register to vote in person, by mail, or online. Just go to registertovoteenvy.gov. Here are some important dates that you should know, however. If you're registering in person or by mail, the deadline is October 6th. You can register online until October 29th. But in order to get a mail-in ballot, you have to register by October 15th. For the first time, you can register to vote at a polling site on Election Day. As Orko Manna tells us, election officials don't want you to wait that long.
We encourage all voters to get registered to vote now.
The countdown is on. With Election Day just 6 weeks away and early voting right around the corner, officials are making a passionate plea to Nevadans.
Anticipate that everything will go smooth.
The Nevada Secretary of State's office tells me they'll be able to handle the influx of mail-in voting, which was expanded due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They want voters to be just as prepared.
This year, it's even more important than ever because we'll be mailing ballots out to registered voters. And if you're not registered to vote, you will not be getting a ballot in the mail. The deadline to register to vote and receive a mail ballot is October 15th.
Both political parties are increasing their efforts too. The Trump team holding this event Tuesday on National Voter Registration Day.
This is going to be the most important election of our lifetimes. The economy is on the ballot. The safety of our communities is on the ballot.
Biden's campaign beefing up virtual messaging.
Nevada is one of a handful of battleground states that will be pivotal in determining the outcome.
There are 1.7 million active registered voters in the state right now compared to 1.3 million in 2016. And in Clark County, there are 1.2 million, up from 1 million 4 years ago. But that's only a fraction of the population.
Don't delay and get registered today.
Orko Manna, 8 News Now.
Early voting runs from October 17th to October 30th. Clark County has 35 in-person early voting locations. Election Day is November 3rd, and there are going to be more than 100 in-person locations on Election Day. For a full list of the voting dates and registration deadlines, just go to 8newsnow.com. Meanwhile, 5 Nevada counties had to delay their plans to start mailing out those general election ballots this week. The plan was to send them out on Thursday, but the vendor for the printing didn't finish on time. So Washoe, Lincoln, Churchill, Elko, and Esmeralda counties are all on a bit of a delay. They wanted to put the ballots in the mail by October 2nd. That's been pushed, though. Here in Clark County, they're going to be mailed on October 7th. There are plenty of concerns and some confusion about the election. The I-Team's Vanessa Murphy has more on a mailer that you may have received.
Some of you may have received this mailer from the Voter Participation Center, or VPC. It looks pretty official, return address Carson City, but this is not from a governmental agency. It's from a nonprofit trying to get more people registered to vote. There is a voter registration form with a prepaid envelope. We've confirmed this is addressed to Clark County voter registration. A spokesman for VPC tells me 868,000 of these mailers are being sent in Nevada. They are geared toward people who are eligible to vote but are not registered. He says this mainly includes people of color, young people ages 18 to 34, and unmarried women. The I-Team received an email from a concerned viewer. I am a registered voter in Clark County and even confirmed my party affiliation with them a couple of weeks ago. Received this in the mail, and people aren't worried about voter fraud. The letter from the VPC also states if you are already registered to vote or are ineligible to vote, disregard the mailer. The VPC spokesman tells me if someone who is already registered to vote receives the mailer, VPC regrets that. VPC hires companies that use commercial data, and the system is not perfect. Okay, so what if someone fills out the information to register, for example, a deceased person? A Clark County spokesman says that's a felony, and there are systems in place to catch this. For example, they check with the Department of Motor Vehicles and Social Security, among others. If you want to confirm your voter registration or register to vote, we have a link at 8newsnow.com. Procrastinators can vote on Election Day, but as we've been reporting, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there is the option to mail in your ballot. Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
So VPC sent us that statement that Vanessa referenced. We have the full statement at 8newsnow.com. Also online, we have all sorts of other useful information, including an extended interview about voting with the Clark County Registrar, Joe Gloria. Joe Biden's surrogate and former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang held a Zoom event in Nevada this week. He also spoke with our Orko Manna.
There aren't a whole lot of those traditional registration events that happen. I know the Trump team here in Nevada had an in-person registration event, and I believe the Biden team is doing more of these kind of virtual meetings and pushes and links to websites. Do you see that as maybe a disadvantage, or how are you kind of perceiving the difference there?
No, I think you're going to lose some things and gain others, Orko. And I believe that mail-in voting actually is going to increase turnout dramatically because every active voter, if you're registered, you're going to get a mail-in ballot, and then you can just send it back in. You can drop it off in person. Or if you really want to, you can vote in person the day of election day. I personally would recommend getting the mail-in ballot and then sending it in. You can send it in early. You can have it all done, and then you can relax. The other thing is that if you vote early via mail-in voting, then you can give everyone else a hard time. You can say, I voted, have you? And then you can be the the person on the high horse. Who doesn't want that? Get on that high horse, vote early. I feel like the tagline. But we need you to vote because in Nevada in particular, your vote could mean a great deal. Nevada is going to be a crucial state.
This week you had an event with the AAPI caucus right here in Nevada. Is the Asian American community, is that a particular group that the Biden team is working to get some major support with for this election, and what are some of the efforts being made to appeal to that group?
The Biden campaign wants everyone to vote, and certainly Asian Americans are a very important, fast-growing voting bloc in Nevada, but everyone's vote counts the same, and the Biden campaign wants to reach everyone. They're investing in Spanish language outreach in Nevada and around the country. They have people doing Instagram chats with influencers to reach young people. So we're going after everybody. And everyone's vote is going to be crucial in Nevada in particular this fall.
Many experts are saying there needs to be this overwhelming support, particularly from the Latino and Black communities. And right now, there's not, that huge overwhelming support according to the numbers. So what are some efforts being made to make sure that those numbers reach those high levels to ensure that this will be a victory for you guys? Because it is a very close race.
Well, we're taking nothing for granted. And certainly, to me, the Latino community, if they see the vision that Joe and Kamala have for the country and contrast it with Trump's, I think it's going to be a very easy call. But we have to make that case. We have to reach people where they are. We have to advertise in a language that someone's most comfortable receiving information in. And my parents also were and are big users of foreign language media.
We have more of that interview, of course, with Andrew Yang. You can just go to 8newsnow.com, look for the 2020 election interviews tab, and you can see the rest of Orko's discussion. President Donald Trump's son says the governor tried to shut down another rally.
You literally have thousands of people there, and your governor's trying to shut it down.
We speak with Eric Trump as he is here in Southern Nevada, rallying in Pahrump and Las Vegas. Plus, the services honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the fight over who gets to replace her seat on the Supreme Court. You're watching Politics Now.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak says he will not take coronavirus relief funds away from Douglas County for a Trump rally. Now, that rally for the president was held September 13th up in Minden and violated the state's emergency directives for COVID-19. It was the day before the president held another rally here in Henderson. The governor first said he would look into taking back nearly $9 million in coronavirus relief funds that were given to Douglas County, but on Monday, Governor Sisolak said he's not going to punish residents for mistakes made by officials. The president's son, Eric Trump, was in Southern Nevada this week for a pair of events. The I-Team's Vanessa Murphy interviewed him at an event at the Latinos for Trump office here in Las Vegas.
Why would Latino voters who maybe did not vote Trump 2016 change their minds now?
We should see the support that we have. And honestly, if you look at the community and you look at the things that the new Democratic Party stands for, it's not the Democratic Party. Honestly, it's a far left party. They're anti-religion. You saw what they did at the DNC a couple weeks ago where they dropped under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. And actually, their charter says they're the party of the atheist. They're anti-family in so many ways, right? I mean, literally, they're against the nuclear family in this country, which is so important to the Latino community. The Latino community wants safety. They want law enforcement. They don't want defund the police like Kamala Harris is suggesting out there.
What would you say about criticism with the last rally that was held indoors here in Nevada? Our positivity rate for COVID is 10%.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting. Last night, they had a big protest on the Strip, and you saw that. And no
Downtown.
one and no one cared. And no one cared. Yet, I have a beautiful rally with a bunch of amazing people outdoors in Pahrump, Nevada tonight. It's going to be literally have thousands of people there, and your governor's trying to shut it down. I mean, I find that to be really disingenuous when somebody's trying to shut down a peaceful rally where people are holding the American flag, you know, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. They're there for a patriotic cause, but yet you can have these protests walking up and down the streets, you know, up and down the Strip. It's not right. It's unfair. It's politics at its worst. And it should be condemned.
What evidence do you have that the governor is trying to shut it down?
How about calls to the campaign today and calls to other people today and calls to the venue today? And it's sad. Let people go out and let them exercise their First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech, and let us go out and have a great time. And don't try and shut it down for political reasons, because there's clearly a beautiful movement here and there's so much support.
Was that a conscious decision, though, to hold it outdoors this time as opposed to indoors?
It was a very conscious decision. In fact, I'm not sure if Pahrump, in fact, I know they don't have a venue large enough indoors to hold a rally. There's going to be literally hundreds and hundreds of people out there, and it's going to be a beautiful night, and it's going to be a safe night, and people are going to go out there and have a nice time. And we're really excited. I mean it. I was here in 2016. I've spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, as you know very well. I spent a long time building the beautiful building in the city, and I love this city, and I love this state, and the energy here is incredible, and we're so thankful. We truly love the people of this state, and we're so incredibly thankful.
We should point out the governor's office denied ever contacting anyone with the Trump campaign about the venue in Pahrump or the rally there. You can watch more of Vanessa's interview with Eric Trump on 8newsnow.com. Now, moving on, colleagues, well-wishers, friends, and family all saying goodbye to late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg this week. We have that story next on Politics Now, plus this.
I'm Alexandra Limon in Washington. Democrats say there will be payback if a new Supreme Court justice is confirmed before the next inauguration. I'll have that story coming up.
watching Politics Now.
Late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg laid in repose in the Supreme Court this week. Family, close friends, and the justices gathered to remember Ginsburg as a brilliant jurist, skilled attorney, fighter, and friend. President Donald Trump also paid his respects. Chief Justice John Roberts says the impact Justice Ginsburg made on the High Court as a lawyer and associate judge will last for generations.
There she won famous victories that helped move our nation closer to equal justice under law, to the extent that women are now a majority in law schools, not simply a handful.
Ginsburg passed away after a lengthy battle with cancer. She served in the High Court for 27 years. Fights to fill Supreme Court seats are always contentious in Washington, but this time around the fight centers in part around the upcoming presidential election. And our Washington, D.C. correspondent, Alexandra Limon, joining us now to discuss why Democrats say it'd be hypocritical to fill the seat before the next inauguration. What's the latest in Washington right now, Alexandra?
Well, as you know, these fights are always contentious because they are appointing Supreme Court justices for lifetime appointments, and they will make some major decisions. But this time in particular, Democrats say with the presidential election just a few weeks away, the Senate really should wait and hear from the American people to see who they will elect to be the next president, and then have that person make a nomination and fill this Supreme Court seat left behind by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And they point to the last time around. You may remember in 2016 when Justice Antonin Scalia died, Senate Republicans blocked the nominee from President Obama, Merrick Garland, at the time, saying that, you know, the presidential election is coming up. Well, I'll tell you, Scalia died in February, and so that was 9 months before the presidential election. So Democrats here are saying if that's what we're going by, if that is the rule, then we should definitely wait to fill this seat since the election is only a few weeks away.
With all of that potentially on the docket for the Supreme Court and the Republican Senate in control of the Senate and confirmation, what can Democrats do?
Well, when it comes to Democratic lawmakers, they can virtually do nothing to stop the Republican Senate from considering and taking up and voting on President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court. However, it is arguable that maybe the public could play a role in delaying a vote if there were enough public pressure on Republican senators who are in, pretty shaky positions for re-election this November. People like Colorado Senator Cory Gardner, he has already said that he will move forward and consider any nominee that we get from President Trump. So it would require a reversal from him and other Republican senators, but arguably that could be the only potential path to delaying hearings or a vote on a Supreme Court justice.
Now, Republicans point out there are many big decisions on the Supreme Court's docket. There are cases involving abortion rights, the Affordable Care Act, and a possible challenge to the election. They're all possible. Democrats plan to make changes to the court if a new nominee is pushed through by Republicans, and that includes adding new justices to the Supreme Court.
That's not in the Constitution, and the size of the court has varied over time from 5 to 9.
That is Nevada Democratic Congresswoman Dina Titus. She says that what's often called packing the court would be justified if the court's making rulings that don't follow public opinion. Of course, Democrats would have to win the presidency and the Senate to pull that off. Republican Senator John Thune dismissed these threats from Democrats.
Republicans won't be deterred from performing our constitutional role by Democrats' undemocratic threats.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he will move to confirm President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court in the coming weeks. We have more Politics Now coming up after this. It's like none of us have ever worked in television before. In What to Watch, something very important to watch. The first presidential debate is next Tuesday. It'll be in Cleveland, Ohio. The moderator is Chris Wallace from Fox News. Wallace says the topics for the debate are the candidates' records, coronavirus, the economy, and the Supreme Court. No foreign policy is on the list. It's the first of 3 scheduled debates. The other 2 are in October. There's also a vice presidential debate scheduled in October. We are going to carry all 4 of those debates, of course, live right here on CBS, and they all start at 6. And a quick reminder here on Channel 8 about our Hispanic Heritage Special, which airs September 27th, that is Sunday, right here on Channel 8. It features stories about Hispanic Americans who have influenced and enriched our culture here in the community and all around the country. Again, Hispanic Heritage is tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We hope you will join us. Thank you very much for watching us here on Politics Now. You can stay up to date with all the political news online. Just head to 8newsnow.com. You can watch us every Saturday. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we will see you again next week.